It was loud and they were flying. And I'm telling you, please don't wait till somebody gets killed at that intersection. That average speed is not 20 miles an hour. We were also told, because we couldn't get a stop sign, that they would look into the speed bumps. They couldn't do it during the winter, but they could do it in the spring. Well, we're in summer and we still don't even have a speed bump. And this is my opinion. I know why. It's because the police don't want to slow down. They fly up Lewis without lights or anything else, just like some of the cars do. 40, 50 miles an hour. They just fly up the street. In fact, there was an incident the other day on my street where kids went up on somebody's porch while she was sitting there minding her own business on her porch reading a book, and they banged on her door and said ding dong ditch and ran. Now they ran down Lewis, and that officer came up. He must have passed them. From two sides of the street, we were trying to wave that officer down. He had tunnel vision. They always have tunnel vision as they drive around. To me, that's not patrolling. That's just driving around in circles. If they would slow down a little bit and look around, he would have seen those kids running. He would have seen us waving to let them know what these kids were doing. They ran up on her porch while she was sitting there. But if Webster can get a stop sign with no traffic study, then Lewis needs a stop sign at Lewis and Waller. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fulco. I will speak with the town engineer regarding the traffic study and see if I can get something for you. State your name and address for the record.
Hello, David Morissette again, and I still live at 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
Since 1995.
Since 1995. I hadn't planned to, but since the last conversation with LMR and the discussion, a couple of things I just want to state real quickly. At the planning board meeting, there was discussion of waste disposal containers. And that discussion, I've actually verified my recollection of the discussion with several other people that attended that planning board meeting. That planning board meeting, that discussion on the waste disposal containers was specifically referencing waste disposal containers being able to be stored for restaurants and those types of businesses where they would be able to put the rubbish out. A resident came up and actually said, hey, I'm really worried because this conversation on waste disposal containers sounds like we're letting LMR in. And the resounding answer to that question, that query, was absolutely not. We are not discussing that area for the waste disposal containers. It is only the area down there at the riverfront. And it is on tape.
You can read page 47. It's not. It's 76.
It's not specified on the minutes, but it is on the tape.
Okay, read the redevelopment plan. It's right there.
Oh, on the redevelopment plan, it does have waste disposal containers listed there, but it doesn't have trucks. It doesn't have the authorization for LMR to come in. In fact, the entire council voted against LMR coming in after LMR and the attorney didn't show up for their hearing.
This council or the prior?
The entire planning board voted against it.
Oh, okay.
All the people up there that were at that planning board meeting actually voted against LMR coming in. Okay. Now, no, I'm not saying anything wrong happened here, but can I ask a question or two?
Please.
Okay. Councilman Lutz, I think I have you on tape. In fact, I have you on tape stating that you actually went and visited LMR and you actually had a conversation with them. Is that correct?
Correct.
And discussed everything.
For the record, Mr. Morissette, I just want you to understand that you can ask, they can voluntarily not answer.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. All right. Is that Okay, and Council President Fulper, I believe you've actually had conversations with representatives from LMR?
Yes, I have. I've driven down there myself to view the site.
Okay. And have any other council members here actually had conversations with any representatives from LMR?
I want to answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Number one, the mayor called me and told me about LMR and what they're doing.
Mhm.
And he told me that what they're doing, they're taking part of the Norfolk Southern land and this and that, and this and that. So it was just about dawn. And I wanted to see myself, okay?
Sure.
I went down there, I saw nothing was wrong with what they done. They cleaned that place up from White Rock Chemical to what it is now. It's like 200%. 200% of what they've done. I turn my car around and I go out, and here comes a garbage truck heading right at me. And it was the owner, and he asked me what I was doing there. And that's why I always say when he's here, we met at a funny situation, and he laughs all the time. I do too. But I explained why I was here, and I said, I went back because the mayor said that this was being done, and that was being done. And that's how I met the man. I didn't go to his office, I didn't sit down with him, I didn't see anything. When I was back there, I'm telling you again, it's like 200% neat and clean and done. And then when I was back there was only empty containers. I don't know where you people are coming up with garbage containers and everything else. Even in the minutes, it states he can only store empty containers back there. That's what he was saying. And that's in the minutes. If you look on your camera, that's what it said. So thank you.
Okay, so normally, the normal procedure is if somebody wants a variance or a change to a development plan, they go to the planning board. And how many folks here have ever been on the planning board? Councilwoman, I know, and Council President. Okay, so you guys know the routine, right? So you go to the planning board, and we all know why the planning board process is in place, is that right? The planning board process is in place. Did you want to answer? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just actually, if you could, rather than form it in the phrase of a question, I understand what you're getting at, so if you just make your point for the crowd.
So the planning board process is in place so that if anybody wants a variance or some kind of a change into the established regulations, they come before the planning board and they discuss their case, why they want a change. And they do that so that their issues are out in the public. And there can be a public discussion as to why they should have a change. Well, that didn't occur because LMR, nor a representative for LMR, ever came to the planning board meeting. It was stone cold silence because nobody was there. So there was no way to discuss with them why what they want to do might make sense and be of a beneficial use to the town. So the planning board obviously didn't see a beneficial use, and you've already heard a number of reasons why it wouldn't be beneficial. And interestingly, you guys, I know, Council President, you've done the planning board training.
Yes, sir.
And Councilwoman, I know you're still up for that. So when you go to training, one of the things they tell you on the planning board is that when you go for training, you may go and visit a site. You can look at the site. You can say hello to the guy there. But under no circumstances are you to discuss the variance that is coming up before the planning board. And the reason for that is you are not to discuss it because that issue is supposed to be discussed in public and put in minutes and put on tape.
Are you asking if we discussed the variance? Because I didn't, in my discussion with them, I didn't discuss the variance.
I've never spoken to him.
So you never discussed the idea of amending the redevelopment plan?
No, sir.
See, that's the reason that you don't have anything more than a hello, if you even talk to them at all, because you don't know what people talk about.
Sure, well, I'm not gonna stop discussing anything with the residents in town just because other people would like to speculate upon what I may or may not have said.
You don't have, but you don't have
Sure.
that, you don't have that obligation as a town council member. As a planning board member, you do.
Correct, and that I can understand. Just for full transparency, when I had met with LMR, I welcomed them to the neighborhood. I wanted to know more about his business, what it was that he was doing, and quite frankly, I wanted to know what they were gonna do with the Carl's Auto Glass building, because it looked run down. I had a question, again, it's a new business, it's here in Phillipsburg. I ran on a platform of being business friendly. I want business here. I understand, not I can't tell you that they can't come here because they're a trash company. It's discriminatory in my opinion. I'm not gonna tell you what kind of business you can or can't have.
Well,
But that's just me, I don't speak for all of
right, you
council.
don't speak for,
Yes, sir.
and I don't speak for everybody either.
No, I understand.
But I do know that the vision of the people that I speak to in the town, the vision of the people on the planning board, this company, in terms of the business they're going to be doing, does not fit in with our long-term goals for the riverfront redevelopment. The riverfront redevelopment is getting a seed right now, down there at Union Square, hopefully. That's going to go through. And it is going to spread. And I may not live to see it, but there are people in this audience that will live to see Phillipsburg transform and become the new place that people want to come.
Mr. Morris, I appreciate your vision. I do have to cut you off because my colleagues are
Thank you.
telling me. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming up.
I'm sorry for taking so much time.
Nah, you have every right, so thank you.
Council President, may I respond?
Mayor, absolutely.
Really briefly.
Yes, sir.
I know, this is first person, I was on the site, and the town wanted that site during the last council session. It was important to get the Morris Canal Greenway through there and some other trails that I think Councilman Piazza was working on. So we were looking at it, but there was a $500,000 lien, EPA lien for cleanup.
I saw that, 479,000.
Something like that,
Yes.
from White Rock, so we stayed away from it. We also had a lien against it, and Attorney Wenner, if he was here, would confirm that we were gonna foreclose on the property, but that $500,000 we had to consider the taxpayers. Well, I was called down to the site by a DPW worker. What had happened when they were cleaning up the property, as Councilman Lutz said, they knocked off one of our sanitary sewer collection manholes because it wasn't attached, and a lot of rocks and dirt, and we had to dig it out because if it gets out into the disposal plant, it hurts the rack and screen. So Attorney Winter's going to be cold, but we did go down to the LMR site with construction code official Kevin Duddy and inform them verbally, Rob was there, that you do need to go for zoning and you do need to go for a site plan. And at that time, it was very clear, and he agreed to do so. There was a violation also of soil conservation. Anything over 2,000 square feet.
Right, Warren County Conservation, Soil Conservation.
Yeah, Warren County Soil Conservation. That is it Contrarello? Contrarell.
Contrarell.
Yeah, he did Contrarell, thank you.
You're welcome.
He did go to Belvedere and obtain a soil conservation permit. There was 15 foot of the North Fork and Southern Bank removed, but it was his property. The concern was the erosion coming off the railroad bed that was cut without any type of reinforcement. I think that's still in discussion between Norfolk and Southern and doesn't involve us. It was just part of the cleanup of the site. At the present time, again, just facts, I'm not making a stance on this. There are garbage trucks down there. I think you need to take a look. Betty is storing some trucks down there. But again, he's going for a site plan, so
Right.
that'll all be determined.
As long as there was no trash inside, I believe we had said it was okay.
Yeah, just wanted to share some
I appreciate
history
that.
and the facts. Thank you.
No, wait.
Thank you, Mayor. Ma'am?
Excuse me.
Ma'am, I had asked, no one speak from the audience in the very beginning.
You're right, you're right.
That's all I asked. Please.
David Pack, 459 Needler Avenue, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I have a couple complaints about these town fields. They're very bad.
So when you say very bad, can you just...
Green Street field, the two fields, the softball, baseball fields, there's grass grown on those fields. and also Walters Park.
The grass growing where it's not supposed to be growing, or?
The grass is growing on the fields.
Okay.
It was, I went to a game a couple weeks ago, and the grass was growing.
Okay.
And the guys are flying the fields and they're leaving. They're not dragging. If you go to Low Pat, they drag their fields. Alpha drags their fields. Pellet drags their fields. And the town guys just don't leave. They line and leave. They're supposed to drag the fields for teams. Like Still Hill Fields, hard as a rock. And they should be dragging those fields.
Just Steel Hill Fields?
Still Hill Fields and Walters Park.
Bentley's bad too.
Bentley's back, and so is Edison.
They borrowed my rakes and hose.
And the fields are like this. If you look at the field, there's like dirt. There's like a dirt spot at each base. It should be like a baseball field.
So, what I would have to defer to the mayor. I believe we would just have to let Mr. Thompson know, and he would then take care of it from there. Would that be correct, Mayor?
I completely agree with Pat. These fields have been left go for a very, very long time. As you know, there's very little grass. It's all broadleaf. It's hard as a rock. I know one of the football teams during the Little Liners came to me, and they wouldn't even play on it because it was too hard. And it's going to take some years, Pat, I'm telling you, to get these fields back. But with the Open Space Fund, we have the money to do so. I think they were neglected in the past. I agree with you 100%.
Because I coach for Still Hill, and the field is like.
Mr. Thompson is in my office every single day about raking fields and lining fields, and we'll try to get out there a little more. But I have to tell you right now, we need money.
Yeah.
And when we get that money, that's the first place it'll go. That would be my choice.
I'll be in agreement with that.
And I also have another one. A friend of mine that works at Orleans, you know her sister, Stephanie Green.
I do.
Amy Myers has been in the hospital, at Warren Hospital, just got transferred over to Lehigh Valley Hospital. She was in the hospital for almost 5 weeks. And she needs all the help. Having a bowling thing for her on Sunday, July 22nd, from 1 to 5 p.m. It's $15 per person. That includes games and shoes. And if everybody wants to do a bake sale, then go up there and do that. Everything is done to Amy Myers at Warren Lanes.
Is that Myers? Did I hear? I'm sorry.
Amy Myers from Warren Lanes that works at the Warren Lanes.
Oh, I read.
I graduated, I went to school with her sister. So if anybody wants to help her out,
You can count us. I know you can count me in.
I told her I'll be away.
I'm
here.
I'll send something over.
it's July 22nd, it's a Sunday,
What time does it start, right?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
And it had happened 8 years ago, and it came back to hunt her down again.
Ray will do everything in our power. I'll make sure that I am there with my family.
And it's very helpful. I've known her for almost 20 years working at Warren, going to Warren Lane, seeing her every day. And helps out with her dad, because her dad works up there too.
God bless your heart, man.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, state your name and address for the record.
Stephanie Lilly, 96 Hemlock Drive. How are you guys?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. As most people know, him and I took over Citizens for a Cleaner Community, and we had our first event this past Easter, and we were able to help 14 families have an Easter meal. One was homebound, and their children had Easter baskets. We had 28 Easter baskets. And we are just excited to announce that we will be working with Rubel Funeral Home. We are going to have a back-to-school supply drive. The flyer will be up on social media on Monday with all the information needed to contact Kim and myself if anyone is in need of back-to-school supplies, backpacks, and things of that nature. So hopefully we can help more than 15 or 14 families this time around.
That would be great. If you can get that to us, Mayor, can we put that in our newsletter?
Yes, we could, and we could also do an email blast for you, and I'll put it on my page, but I was just going to ask for a contact.
I can give you my email.
All right,
our
you can
email
private
addresses.
message me
Okay,
and get it to me.
that would be
Excellent.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Council President.
Yes.
Ladies, just a yes or no, ladies? A yes or a no, back to school supplies, family need, you say family need, it's families in need, so I'm sure it's other things. We could talk offline about some clothing, if there's family needs of clothing,
Anything.
we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Thank you, Councilman. I know it, but you still have to do it. State your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Joe Miner. I live at 392 South Main Street in Phillipsburg.
Thank you, Mr. Minor.
And I'm 80 years old and I finally got it right this time. I am going to, I'm promoting, before it gets locked, an alternate plan for the redevelopment of the Riverview plan. I think the present proposal is quite ridiculous. Toward that end, I have a promise from Council President and Mayor to meet with me, just the three of us, and I will be promoting at that time an alternate plan, which is really a compromise. I sort of like Phillipsburg. But I want a little bit of public stuff. So I'm going to do this and read this now toward that promotional end. What we have can be preserved and promoted. We have hotel facade in Union Square. We have a train station, it is a rebuilt one sadly, in Union Station. We have an old boat dock in Union Square. We have steps to the river in Union Square. We have an original cobblestone street. We have an original cobblestone freight station. We have a Black Bridge train station. We have a Black Bridge signal station. We have a roundabout. We have the entrance to the Morris Canal. We have a short piece of the Morris Canal. We have a railroad truck repair. We have an old jailhouse. We have a miniature railroad. We have a deserted railroad bridge to Easton and parking there. We have the Union Square Bridge. We have Old Stone Bridge over South Main. We have 2 old tunnels. We have a scenic railroad which should be extended to Regalsville for parking. Right now it's a ripoff. We have a Tuesday auto show. And it can all be tied together into existent trails, and the town is colorful right now. Now, none of that is like the development that you're looking at. The evidence toward gentrification. Now, I'm personally against the gentrification of Phillipsburg. I know that that's a minority opinion, but that's what I'm selling these days. Builders build for rental profit. They tear down and build new. Rumfield wants to reduce government housing. He said so. Perucci wants to increase real estate values. He said so. These are gentrification things, and I know I have to turn all of you. What we will lose, $6 million of the $17 million municipality expenses of state money to the town each year because we're poor. $16 to $32 million to the school district each year because we're poor. Poor people are just as nice as rich people. I live with them. I am one. Actually, for Phillipsburg, I'm really well off. What it means your real estate taxes will more than double. Rents will increase. Union Square traffic congestion will become impossible, and the town will look glitzy and unauthentic. Page 2, short base. If you stand against the proposed gentrification of Phillipsburg plan, I think it's called the Riverview Plan?
Riverfront redevelopment.
Riverview redevelopment. Plan to stop in at 394 South Main Street on Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday's reserved. Between 1:45 and 3 p.m. and leave your name and contact information. Or give me your contact information before you leave tonight. I hope I'm not the only one who thinks there's a better plan than the one proposed, and what we could do with this is really fit it in with cooperating, put in this marvelous motion about charging banks, and it's working. Now the places are getting fixed up because of that threat. It's working slowly. These landlords that come in and buy properties, rebuild and rent them, they need some other stuff. We got to work with them, but they are presently slowly redeveloping the town. It's not fast, it's not glitzy, and it's not gentrification. But Phillipsburg, if you just walk around it without looking to see something else, we have a pretty old town. When my brother visited from California and we walked around town, I wanted to show off all these little toys that we have. He was thrilled by the appearance. We actually looked like something that probably was in the 50s. That hotel center it's no longer a hotel. I can see seniors coming by boat, staying at that little center right there, not needing a car, renting a 50s taxi cab, because we're a 50s town, running around to seeing all these places, and we don't make congestion and we don't make school board problems. We got a better plan, which when I bring these two back after I completely change them, they will be selling it for.
Well, we appreciate that, Joe. We may not be drinking anything that you're giving us, I'm just saying. Thank you, Joe, very, very much for your comment. State your name and address for the record, please.
Dan Boyce, 244 Irwin. Mayor Ellis, you stole most of what I wanted to say about the way you and Bobby are working together. It's tremendous. I haven't been coming to these meetings as long as a lot of other people. I've been coming a little over a year. And it's just amazing to see how tight everybody works here. And I said a couple meetings ago how nice it was to see you two working together. And it is visible, not just in here, it is visible outside as well. That's what the town needs. The other stuff is what is keeping things away. Last week, unfortunately, Kim couldn't come tonight. She was going to come and tell about the grocery store that won't come into town. Because of this, the arguing and the everything else. The whole deal with LMR. LMR is 3 miles from the redevelopment area. 3 miles, that's a big difference. And I've been to Alpha, I've got a lot of friends there, I've talked to people. Yes, the people that complained were stooges. They were placed there to complain. They weren't actual people living in the vicinity of where LMR is. We have neighbors that have absolutely no problem with it down there. I'm not saying it's the perfect answer, but the town does have to open its doors to businesses as well. You want to redevelop and you want to bring restaurants in. Restaurants need dumpsters. They don't use garbage cans at the town, the department workers pick up. You need dumpsters. Those dumpsters have to be picked up by trucks. Those trucks are run by LMR. They're going to be coming into town anyhow. There are already dumpsters sitting, I believe, at Jimmy's hot dog stand, am I correct? I'm sure that Soma has them, Teddy's has them. They're already there. You bring more restaurants in, you're going to have more dumpsters there. I don't know what the answer is. If you don't want them, how are you going to have restaurants and not have dumpsters? You're going to have people, you're going to hire people to drag these dumpsters out there by hand? I mean, that's asinine. Really everybody needs to get on the page, the same page. You people seem to be on the same page. Now, the people out here in the audience and in town have to get on the same page as well. Work together. The redevelopment plan, I mean, it looks good. I think it should have been down started at Chappelle Park. It's already working there. And maybe use that as the hub and branched out rather than started the bridge and worked down. That's just me. If I had all the answers, I wouldn't be standing up here. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Very well said. Is there anyone else? Ms. Morissette, I don't want to be rude, so if you could, it sounded to me like you had something to correct me on. I really would like to invite the correction, because if I was wrong, I'd like to be corrected.
No,
so.
I apologize.
No, please don't apologize. Did you want to say anything? Did you want? I didn't invite you to.
I can talk to you afterwards, it's fine.
Okay, Mrs. Morissette, thank you very much for your understanding. Moving forward, if there is no one else, I believe we have a motion. We have council open time first. Councilman Lutz.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Council Vice President DiGirolamo.
The only thing was I attended the Warren County Governing Officials Association meeting on, the mayor presented the plan on the redevelopment, and we had a presentation on the legalization of marijuana. So if anybody should have questions, I gave all council members, an attorney, and clerk a copy of it. But if anybody does have any questions or concerns about that, Pete Summers from the Warren County Health Officer, who we had a great conversation with, is the one to contact at Warren County. That's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Councilman Davis.
Nothing, just a happy 4th of July, everyone.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Councilman McVeigh.
A couple things Mayor mentioned earlier today about converting single-family homes as a high priority. I can't agree with them more. Council Vice President DiGirolamo and I were knocking on doors. One of them was 18 Lewis Street, where I resided for 3 years, where I was downstairs and my mom was upstairs. We had a good landlord, but the house was split in half. Knocked on the door, and gentleman answered. We talked a little bit. Said I used to live there. And sure enough, he bought the home, like, which dated me, I think I might have mentioned this earlier meeting, about 30-something years ago. It's impossible. If I did the math, and it really was 30-something years ago. So if it could be done on Lewis Street, it could be done everywhere throughout town. I think it should be a top 5 priority in this town to convert the family homes and bring back the families. I know there are some folks here in the audience that I've had talk about that's a high priority for them too, with some good plans. We should bring our citizens in for that and take heed on what they have to say, because we don't have all the answers on that one. Secondly, as far as LMR, that is a hot topic. When Councilman Lutz speaks, I'm a little partial. When Councilman Lutz speaks, because of his time living down there, and I've known his family living down there all that time, I listen. So, and it was also mentioned by another resident tonight about, with redevelopment comes the trucks, comes the garbage, comes the build. Unfortunately, this redevelopment's not going to just appear with fairy dust and here are the pretty buildings and that's it. There's going to be trucks and it's going to be loud and it's going to be a lot of stuff. So we have to get used to that, and as long as they're playing by the rules, I'm okay with that. I think we have a good partner in them, and that's my opinion. Lastly, I do agree with one resident saying about what we have existing in town, what we should use, and I ran on that from day one, what we should use, and that should be tied into our plans as well. And I believe it will be, and I believe it should be. And I love the term, how the resident said, to fit it into our plans, and it really should be included. So when the 3 gentlemen do meet, I hope that comes in. I think that was very well said this evening, and everybody's have a safe and happy 4th of July.
Councilman McVeigh, thank you. I couldn't echo the sentiment of the mayor anymore, what he had stated earlier. I actually really enjoyed our discussion, even though it was 3.5 hours, and I got yelled at when I got home because she didn't believe I was really there for 3.5 hours talking to him. So, I absolutely believe, listen, if we continue to fight and argue and butt heads, you will not see progress in the town of Phillipsburg. What you will see is turmoil, right? Nothing's going to get done. So we may not always agree, but we will disagree respectfully outside of the media, no offense. But I can promise you this, I believe we all share, all of us up here share the same passion to see Phillipsburg move forward, and we've made it our mission to make sure there's something, anything positive that will get done. Outside of that, I'd like to say that Councilman Lutz and I had the opportunity to assist Troop 51 clean up the riverbank down over the weekend. The mayor couldn't be there because he was dealing with the fire, and I know Councilman McVeigh, you haven't been feeling well. You weren't there. It doesn't matter, but I just want to say that we had a really good time with the Scouts. A lot of really great families are enrolled, and they do a lot of really good things. So I'd like to propose that we invite Troop 51 in here to give them a proclamation for everything, all the good they've been doing across the town. They've offered to come in and stand before us and discuss there's a couple projects they'd like to take part in that would give them their Eagle Scout badge, am I saying that correctly? Their Eagle Scout badge, and I think we should hear them out, you know, so we can do that, that'd be great, yeah? Yeah, go ahead.
Council President,
Yes.
I have to tell you, the cleanup was very efficient and effective. The next day, I got 5 calls saying, Mayor, how dare you leave that garbage down by that disposal?
Are you serious?
No. And I told them it was a cleanup, but, you know, it was kind of comical that all that garbage got picked up and then you get yelled at. That's the way this business goes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will, if you'd like, I can write a formal apology.
No.
But it really was fun. It was really nice to see a lot of young kids out there doing good in the town of Phillipsburg, and we like to broaden that horizon and spread the positivity throughout the town of Phillipsburg. I could go on forever, I'm not going to. Happy 4th of July. So the next we have is a motion to waive the special event fee for the library summer reading program, Teens and Tweens, on July 9th, 2018, from 6 to 7:30.
So moved. Second.
No discussion?
You know,
Yes, go ahead.
quick question, do they really need a special event permit just to use the field? That's all they're doing.
But it's waived.
Yeah, we're waiving it.
Yeah, it was a lot of paperwork for them to fill out. In the future, if they just want to use the ball fields, can't they just do a field request?
Oh, yeah, they can.
You know, what they could do really is they would do the permit for multiple years.
Oh.
And, you know, let them do it for a 5-year period.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just,
It gets passed around to the police, the fire, and all the different agencies, the code. And this way, everybody knows there's an event and there's no conflict or confrontation when they're up there. Of course, the libraries, they're not that rough of a gang, but it just lets everyone know. It's a communication tool. Thank you.
got it.
Roll call?
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Phillipsburg?
Yes.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.